Okay, you guys ready to start? Okay, welcome to our evening. So tonight, what we're going to do is going to celebrate the entrepreneur, right? We think the entrepreneurs are the saviors of the world. So let's celebrate what they're able to do. So the way we're going to do this is at the beginning, we're going to have Anthony Katz and Justin Klein come up and have a little discussion, fireside chat. Justin Klein is an EO member, and Anthony Katz has a fancy business. He's going to tell you all about it. Hopefully, we get some nuggets about what Anthony's done so we can take that to our own company and business. After we do that, we're then going to have our GSEA competition. Okay, that's we have 5 students that are going to present their businesses to us, and we're going to judge them. The winners will get $500, and they'll get to go to the Dominican Republic to pitch again at the national event that we have that the EO has, and the winner from the Dominican Republic will then go to the North American final, which is in Chicago. They'll take about 4 winners from Chicago to South Africa to pitch there. And there'll be a $50,000 prize. There's prizes along the way. I'm not exactly sure what the numbers are in the Dominican Republic and then in Chicago. So before we get started, I want to introduce Cynthia to come up and talk about Chapman.
All right. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Cynthia West, and I run the center here with Mario Reza. Shout out to Mario, along with a small army of student interns. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody in the room knew that this center is actually open to the community. And so you'll see a little flyer like this on your table. And we won a grant from Cal OSBA, so the state of California, and it made us the Accelerate California Inclusive Innovation Hub for Orange County. So there's only one hub per county, and we are it. Yay. So programs are no cost and available to everybody in the community, not just students. So on that note, we have a startup incubator that'll start in February, 12 weeks, very structured program if you want to take your idea and launch, pivot, or fail fast. We have 130 plus volunteer mentors that hang out in that office in the corner Monday through Thursday. You can chat with any of them or get connected to some specialist. We have a female founders group to support women and all genders really, but some of the unique challenges that women sometimes face in getting funding and so forth. So we have a lot of things going on. They're all on here, and I just wanted to make sure that you please take the sheet with you if you wish, or zap the QR code and sign up, or just right here, sign up to get our email marketing. That would be amazing. We would love to keep you informed about things that are happening here. And thank you to EO for hanging out with us and being a good partner. Thank you.
Okay, so let's have Justin and Anthony come up and tell us the secrets to success. Others.
Thank you all for being here. I'm really excited about this conversation and being here in general. I'm a relatively new EO member, but I did go to Chapman. And Anthony and I have been friends for what, 17 years? Something like that. We actually went to the same high school, but he's a little older than I am. And we met after high school. And for context here, Anthony, I don't know how many people know about Hyperice, but Hyperice, you founded it what, 2007? 2010, okay. And your last capital raise was at about 700 million in 2020. So I remember the days when we were talking after playing basketball at our high school, which is Capistrano Valley High School down in Mission Viejo, and just talking about the idea of what Hyperice could be. And so I've seen it from nothing to where it is today. And Anthony's taught me a lot about business, entrepreneurship, creating products and managing people, and so many lessons that I personally have learned from him. So that's why I love talking to him. I love getting him in front of other people, because if you know him, he's not a social media guy. He's not out there posting and things like that. So he has a lot of wisdom that every entrepreneur, every person, I think, can really take home. So I'm really excited to be here, and thanks for coming, Anthony.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And he's a perfect. There's a saying: "Your net worth is your network," and I think he's a perfect example of that. Not only me personally knowing Anthony, but also Anthony's network. He has an incredible network, and it's without social media. It's going out there, talking to people, and being open, honest, curious, and finding answers and finding solutions. And that's what Anthony's really great at. So to kick it off, Anthony, you started your journey as a history teacher. A lot of people, and some people might know that. And, I think one question that I have is, what about that background and your interest in history has impacted you in your approach to entrepreneurship in general?
So I'm a proud Gen Xer. Any Gen Xers in here? Yeah, we're sort of we're sort of the forgotten. I think we'll be the only generation not to have a president. We're sort of like, no one ever talks about us. But what's unique about being born in 1977 is I was born in the analog age and I became an adult in the digital age. And we literally were kids and teenagers and young adults in one world, and now literally live and had to adapt to a completely new world. And we're the sort of the first generation that I think had that sort of experience. I talk to my young employees that are in their 20s. They don't know a world that didn't have the internet. They don't know a world that wasn't connected. And I feel that as much as my background in history and my love for history really comes from my love for just storytelling. And, I grew up in a house where we got my first VCR, I think in 1982 or 83. And the idea that like we could like watch movies anytime was like a big deal. And I was so in love with movies because it was such a bigger part of the culture back then. I think like my first 4 or 5 movies in order of a year was like, it was like Empire Strikes Back, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., and Back to the Future. Like these like iconic movies that like capture your imagination and like get your mind thinking in like these whole new ways. And when it came to school, the thing that was the most common to like movies was history, because it was like a story. There was like an arc and there was like good and evil, and you had all these themes. And so when it came time to like decide what I was going to do for college, I was like, well, history is the only thing I like. I don't like any of these other subjects. I like science a little bit, but so I'm a total accidental entrepreneur. I didn't grow up in an entrepreneurial family. I didn't when I grew up, an entrepreneur meant someone who had like a physical business, like someone who was a business owner, had like a brick and mortar shop or something. And then when I was in college, like the idea that like when Napster came out, I was like, wait, some guy my age like started a company in his dorm room, and like it's not even a real thing. It's just like this like thing on your computer screen. Like that world really changed. So like I lived during these like 3 revolutions. The first, the personal computer revolution when I was a kid, of like using computers to communicate rather than to just for computation, and then watching the internet come to life in the late 90s, and then later on watching everything go into the palm of our hands and we carry around supercomputers. So like when you study history, you kind of study like patterns in the arc of time and technological impacts. And when you learn the past, you can better understand like where you are and where the future is going. Because in business, you don't get rewarded for like knowing what everyone else knows. Like, you know, 4 years into his career, no one, you don't get rewarded for thinking Tom Brady's good because he had won 3 Super Bowls. So you don't, in business, you can't just react to things. If you want to be forward thinking and kind of create an industry or a category like we did with Hyperice, you have to be able to see beyond. And if you can see beyond today, you have a better understanding of, if you have a better understanding of the past, you can kind of project like where sort of something's going in the culture.
Yeah, you can see where you fit in the story arc.
Yeah, and so for me, it was just like I kind of looked at what I had seen from like I had a lot of friends that were like that were starting to be professional athletes, And I was like, wow, they're spending all their time like working on their bodies and like, oh, hey, I have this massage therapist, or I'm doing this for my body. And I was kind of like, well, I saw technology change the way I listen to music. I saw it change the way I communicate. I saw it change the way. And so could technology kind of change the way we kind of treat our bodies? And so that was sort of the general kind of high level idea. And to answer the question, as a history teacher, it's like picking up on like, if you understand where things are going, you have a better understanding of where they've been, that you understand where they're going.
And speaking of creating a category, and really, I think that's one of the most impressive things here is like, it's not just, oh, I was another product or app or whatever within an industry that existed. He created an industry. And so I think a question for you is, when was that moment where you said, this is more than just one product? This is not just an idea of one thing. This is, I'm creating a company that has an ethos to it, and that is something beyond just one singular idea.
Yeah, I mean, when I started, like, it's not like I knew all this was going to happen. Like, it's like one at a time, right? Like, it's like I was literally just a complete, like, completely green, no business experience, coming out of education, trying to develop a product that was kind of like a half art, half science project. When I developed the first product, it kind of like got me onto the field. I was like, okay, so now I'm like around and seeing kind of what's around. I was kind of like getting around more exposure to like was in the industry. And I was like, wait a minute, like you can't just be a company based around one product or one idea. And so I had to start thinking about like, okay, I want to touch the athlete at every moment, like in his warm up, his or her warm up, in their like, in their recovery, in their treatment, in their maintenance. And so knowing that it had to be, and the inspiration I took was kind of like Apple, right? Like Apple has an ecosystem of hardware. It's like you have your hub is like your computer that connects to your phone, that connects to your AirPods. And so it was like, okay, I have all these products that kind of take care of all my needs when it comes to like running my life. So or like a company like Dyson, like you have your, all the products for your home. So I kind of looked at High Price like I wanted to be like those brands, where I wanted to have an ecosystem and a design language that everything all kind of fit together in an ecosystem that would take care of for that. So no matter what the athlete needed, because we always centered around the athlete, what the athlete needed, we would deliver that.
Now, I think another aspect of your journey that's interesting is that in today's world, everyone wants to create the app, right? Some sort of tech innovation. And you actually built real hardware, real innovation. One of the first things you invented was the release valve to release the air from the ice bag. And that was a physical innovation, which is that a different mindset than going at something from a technology standpoint?
I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is like when you grow up in the age of like physical things, that and I always had a love for design. Like I just from a young age, um, I was into photography. So another way I describe it to my younger employees, um, we got on the cover of Time magazine this week for one of the best inventions of the year. And I was like, people were sending it around like, hey, look, we made the cover of Time magazine for best inventions for the Nike Hyperboot. And I was like, now we just have to explain what a magazine is to our people under 30. And and um and so because growing up in a time where like, the physical, inventions and products were still, I remember holding my first iPod and I was like, my whole every song I have like fits in here, and like how is it being played? Like it just doesn't make sense. And so I just think I have a love for design, and I have a love for like there's a certain art to to creating an object and like and making that object kind of communicate. I have people come up to me and they're like, hey, I love my Normatec, or I love my, whatever product. And it's weird to hear people like talk about like loving an object, but like if you give that object if it performs a function and it like makes your life better in some way, and it like has a certain look and feel and a touch that connects with people, you can really get people to connect to actual physical objects. And I just, for me, as the artist in me, just loves that world. And I have a tremendous respect for digital design. Like I work on all of our brand communication, and we have to communicate to these digital platforms. And there's the marriage of like having the product kind of be the center, and then all the digital design comes out of that. But again, it goes back to just like how old I am and how I was raised. Like physical objects were always more exciting to me.
Yeah.
It just felt more like a real thing to me. Like I don't know how to code, and I don't know, I'm not a computer expert. So just my lack of being sophisticated probably led me to making physical products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And beyond just being able to produce and innovate physical products, you've created a brand ethos, a style, a team that is pushing in the same direction, which, you have what, 115 employees now, something like that? Yeah. So talk about that journey of not just beyond multiple products, but actually creating a company with an ethos and a drive towards something.
Yeah, I remember during COVID, someone posted a link to every interview that Steve Jobs gave, and I read the Isaacson book, and I was always fascinated by him. And in this one interview, he talks about like when you're a founder, you have to be a talent scout, and nothing has ever resonated more like I am a talent scout, because I have talents that like this in this many areas, but to have a company, I mean, I need people that will literally sit there and like stare at screens and do logistics all day, or do finance, or do all these things that I'm not good at. And so having the ability to like identify people, maybe even before they've realized their potential, because if you come to Hyperice, you'd see a lot of former college athletes that like it was their first job. And so I kind of I make every sports analogy, so I hope we're some sports fans in here. But like, if you wait to try to get the free agent, like we've brought in people from Nike and Gatorade, and they like just haven't worked. So it's like the expensive free agents didn't work, but our homegrown talent that like we brought in and kind of like brought them up in our culture, those people have grown and evolved into like, VPs and senior vice presidents. And for me, that's the part I love, is like I'll meet a college athlete, and there's just something about them that I'm like, hey, there's something about this person that like I want on my team. And so when they're done, a lot of times they're done playing. Like our current senior vice president of sales at Hyperice is a girl named Ashley Engel. She went to Esperanza High School. She was a 3-time Orange County Player of the Year. She went to University of Texas. She was a 4-time All-American at Texas, played on the national team for a little bit. And I remember meeting her just because she was using our products in the very, very early stages. And I just noticed how people gravitated toward her. She had this personality. She was a leader. She was a captain at Texas for 3 years. And I'm like, that's the type of person that I want in the building. I don't even care don't even tell me what you majored in. We'll figure it out. And so when she was playing in Turkey one day, she basically reached out to me on Skype and was like, hey, you told me one day that you'd hire me if I was done playing. Is that still on the table? I'm like, just come home, we'll figure it out. And now she is like, a senior vice president and just a complete boss woman in sports industry. And it's those type of things where you have to find people before they've reached their potential, and basically bring them into a culture, and like give them the tools to kind of like develop. And so for me, like the human part of it, the relationship part, I just look for good people, like people that are team oriented, kind, that put the team goals ahead of themselves.
So don't get caught up in the resume.
I don't even think I've ever looked at one. Yeah, I mean, I trust. I have just a.
That's a lesson right there, right?
The HR people look at the resume,
Yeah.
But then I don't hire everyone. Like, I mean, over half the people in the company is not me hiring, because but the people that I've kind of identified as like, I really want to bring that person in. No one bats 1,000, but I think for the most part, we've built a good culture, and I think we've done it a lot like homegrown.
Well, speaking of senior leadership and not batting 1,000, one other interesting aspect of his journey was that pretty early on, he actually stepped down as the CEO. He said, I don't want to be the CEO. I want to focus on something else. And you hired one CEO, didn't really work out, but your second go at having a CEO knocked it out of the park with Jim. So like, I think that's a difficult journey for an average startup. And if you think of all the entrepreneurs that are here today, probably all of them think, oh, I want to make my company big, and I'm going to be the CEO in 10, 15, 20 years of this giant company, and I'm going to crush it. Right. But you said you not only did you still crush it, but you stepped down early, and you actually stepped away. So talk about like that's an ego thing.
Yeah.
Were you able to not get caught up in that and focus on what you're good at?
Yeah, well, when it's your company, you want it to do its best. Like if I'm not the best person, to handle all the things that a CEO has to handle. Well, I care about my company. All I want to do is win. So then if there's a guy sitting shotgun that is like, hey, I have an MBA, I have more financial background than you. I have all the things that you're not good at. As long as I could make the decisions on the product design, what products we go into, the brand communication. So I'm like the head of product and the head of brand and the storytelling and the voice. Every moment that I'm doing anything other than that is not a good use of the company's time. If I have to sit there and, be dealing with like some of the stuff, I'm just like, oh wow, like we had this one situation this year where we had some containers get held hostage by some like Chinese freight forwarding company, and I'm like legal counsel and CEO are like on the phone at like 2 a.m. like this. I'm like, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that. Like that there's other people that get paid a lot of money that handle that, because then I wake up and I can go and focus on delivering the next product, the things that actually like kind of really matter. Um, I had no, in 2015 I had no right to have an ego because I hadn't done anything. So it wasn't really hard to like, to step down. But it was more stepping aside and saying like, hey, I'm still going to have obviously a big voice. I'm the founder and the president and the chairman, but I have no problem giving that seat to someone. And it turned out to be a good decision, and we have a great relationship. And so I think that people should not be so focused on the title, because all that matters is winning. I just want to win.
Love that. Now, speaking of winning, and I talked about how I've seen the Hyperice from literally just an idea and a discussion in a parking lot to where it is today. And throughout that time, there's been ups and downs, and there's been cash flow management. That's the same for any company. But why don't you talk a little bit about that journey of managing the cash flow and trying to decide between investing in product development, in manufacturing capacity, in marketing, in in paying for sponsorships for big athletes, things like that. So how would you advise a young entrepreneur to try to balance those things?
Well, my first advice is try not to have a business during a black swan event that happens one every 100 years would be a good one.
He's talking about the pandemic.
Yeah. So I think we've gone through a lot of, I mean, to be a physical products company during COVID was really hard. It skewed so many things. The data got super noisy on like, because what happened was like, when it first happened, we're like, what the hell is this? Maybe it's just no one ever going to use our products ever again. There was just so much uncertainty about everything. And like, you hear all the time, businesses like certainty because it allows us to plan, allows us to kind of like map the course. So COVID hits. And then like pretty quickly after that, I'm like, oh, okay, people are like kind of like still buying our products because people are like building home gyms and like wanting to still like kind of prioritize their health. And so it was like, okay, well, that's good. And then like all of a sudden, like sales like really picked up, and we were like, well, geez, they're mailing everyone checks and no one's going out or no one's driving. So like it was really good for companies like us. So then we kind of like thought like that was just going to happen forever. And then the culture totally shifted to like, now I want to go to concerts and travel and not spend money on goods. And now I'm not getting free money in the mail. And
So don't extrapolate the short-term trend.
yeah, I mean, like there was so much crazy stuff that happened during COVID of like at one time, our industry, like Peloton was worth, Peloton's market cap hit $45 billion, more than the entire fitness industry. And they were still losing $250 million a quarter. And it's like,
Great short.
yeah. It's like, if you, so it was like, I think we like lose sight of like how crazy things got during that time. And then we had this like large swing of like, and then what happened is like one of the bad effects of COVID was that everyone was sitting at home and saying, well, I need to make income. So I'm going to start brokering like products through Amazon. So then all of our products are getting knocked off like crazy because it was like people just wanted to make money without working. And so I felt like we were just literally like swimming in one of those pools where like the water's coming at you and it was like, it was really, really hard for a couple of years. But I think that we constantly invested in the brand and just kind of kept our eyes on the prize and look, like the macro is going to, like the storm is going to weather the storm. Things are going to calm down. We kind of fell into the pattern too of getting a little bit kind of overly aggressive in marketing because everything was just, it was just like this 2021 just delusion. Like it was like the arms race. Everyone was just trying to throw money at everything. And we were like, at one point we had more athlete and league sponsorship deals than we had days in the year. And so, but we kind of reset, and then now we've had really strong growth for, the last 3 years. So I would say that, you know, if you have like a North Star that you're going to, and you don't like, no matter what macro conditions kind of pop up, if you kind of just like keep your eyes focused on that.
That's what I was
Yeah.
about to say. Like focus on the secular trend
Yeah.
that you're going after. In this case, obviously fitness,
Yeah.
and kind of try to ignore the short-term cyclical nature of what happens in the economy, right? So,
And, there's a, I can't, don't do stupid, whatever.
during those
things.
times,
Yeah.
my favorite,
Respect the,
we're both big beer fans, and obviously Phil Jackson's the GOAT. So, and his always mantra was never high too or never too low, and I think that's a great mantra to bring to its business and entrepreneurship as well. Now, you famously raised capital in 2020, and you did so with some big athletes. And so, why don't you talk about the evolution kind of athlete sponsorships and just celebrity sponsorships in general, because we're in this culture of social media and influencers, and obviously athletes are big in culture. So is there peril in that, or is there also value?
When I started in 2010, it was a relatively new concept that like we called it like the athlete assisted venture. And it was the idea that, athletes and celebrities could start kind of assisting founders and bringing in seed money and then kind of getting behind it. I mean, famously, like, years before that, you had like, I think it was like Ashton Kutcher did Twitter. I think he was one of the first investors in Twitter. Um, Athletes, the big company that I always heard of when I started was Vitamin Water, because athletes had gotten equity in Vitamin Water in exchange for their likeness rights. And so the idea was there. And my whole view was like, wait, I'm making products for athletes. And so people like to invest in things they understand. But it was also coming out of the financial crisis. But athletes were not as affected by the financial crisis because they were still pretty liquid. So like they were looking, for several alternatives to put money in. And so I had this idea that every athlete that I took money from in the very beginning, when it was literally just an idea, was like, hey, I get this because like I use it and like I'll wear it, I'll help promote it whenever capacity. I think that has gone completely like, and then the age of social. Like, when I started, it was like really before Instagram, so it was like there wasn't, the influencer culture didn't exist.
Yeah.
It was still the more kind of traditional mediums of athlete influence. I would say now, I just think it's so hard to break through all of the noise. Like how many billions of things is getting created every single day to try to like say, hey, an athlete's going to get behind this brand. And I just don't know that any of it really matters anymore. I think that you should never have a business that ever relies on someone else. That's don't like, no one is going to, there's no saviors. No one's going to be like, well, if I just get so-and-so, then it's going to be great. One of our, he might be in one of the videos, but like Patrick Mahomes obviously is a, huge, one of the most, well-known athletes in the country. He just started a coffee brand, like a bottle, like a kind of in aluminum cans, like kind of like a, instead of energy drinks, it's like now we're just doing coffee drink, whatever. I only drink water. But anyway, his brand manager called me and was like, hey, you got any, like, asking me for like kind of like help on some like brand and stuff. And I'm like, even having a big athlete like that, and it's, by the way, and the guys that are like backing it are the guys like from Vitamin Water. So you take like guys with experience, guys with that have like been in the space before, and you put a big athlete behind it. It was on the cover. It was a front page ESPN when he launched it, and it's just kind of doing okay because it's just so hard to break through all the noise. And I think we're just at a time where I don't know that there's any one athlete endorsement. Like there's a lot of celebrity brands that do have success, but it's not because of them. It's because they're great businesses.
So focus on the business, not the celebrity.
It's the person in the mirror is your answer to your problems. It's not the celebrity. Yeah.
Love that.
Maybe if you get a Kardashian, maybe there's that changes that. Yeah.
Now, lastly, you have you have a lot of knockoffs, shall we say? And that's the case in a lot of physical products now, where it's just, especially if you're made in China, there's a lot of knockoffs. So protecting IP. Talk about that. Talk about what you've learned over the years of being able to create IP and as well as protect it against competitors from just really knocking you off and allowing you to do the work and they reaping the rewards.
So whoever said imitation's the highest form of flattery, never had a product ripped off from them a million times. We're living now in a time where anything can be reverse engineered. The proliferation of manufacturing technology allows us to like rapidly prototype and make things really fast. I remember when we invented the modern day massage gun, and within like 6 months, there was like basically like clones of it on the market on Amazon, completely undercutting us. And it was just like, oh, well, the US Patent Office is going to like see our patent in 3 years. So by that time, it's kind of like too late. And so you come up with like this better way to do something, someone else rips it off, they undercut you because they're not paying for a building and employees and healthcare and all this stuff. They're just like basically saying, we're just going to make this much margin and undercut everybody. This is the problem that I think Amazon is the most, like, they're the biggest contributor. We talk about like protecting American interests and everyone's just, Amazon is the biggest culprit of violation of IP. They don't care. They only care about the volume of transactions. They could care less about the ethics of any of these companies selling anything online. Perfect example is, does everyone remember hoverboards in like 2015, 2016? So this company like legitimately came up with this really cool idea where like you can stand on it, had a sensor, you lean forward, it would go forward. And they got really big. Well, what happened? A bunch of factories started making knockoffs. And I would say it's not the factories, like it's partially their fault, but it's the willingness of Americans to like basically just import them and sell them and undercut, and Amazon's willingness to just allow it to happen without any regard for IP. And what happened was all the knockoffs were not using certified lithium ion batteries. And if you have 16 lithium ion batteries and one of them is bad because the technology wasn't as good in manufacturing then, now the whole thing catches on fire. So what do people say? Oh, hoverboards catch on fire. Well, no, it's not there. The original company went through certifications, went through regulations, actually created a safe product, but it gave a bad name, and that company got completely, basically taken out because of that there was no like Amazon will literally let you sell anything. And so I feel that there's
So
all this.
now it's less incentive to go create a physical product like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think at one point we created the modern day massage gun, the stack up, which everyone uses. And I think at one point there was something like 500 or 600 something $1 million just on Amazon in massage guns. And we had a small fraction of that. And there was nothing we could do about it.
So how would an entrepreneur?
The American Patent Office is way too slow. It's not designed. It's designed for like the freaking 1800s.
So you're
Yeah.
saying start early, protect your IP early, and not wait.
What we realize is that like the one thing that is more intangible that protects stuff is your brand. So that's why I said, look, we're gonna just invest in the brand. Like right now, like Normatec is the dominant player in pneumatic compression. There are a lot of knockoffs, and we haven't seen as much. We're not losing market share; we're gaining market share, and that's because we've like really invested in the brand and we've put all the money into the quality because we're like, hey, it's just like whack-a-mole. I'm not just going to go and try to like cease and desist this person and this person because he's just going to just put a different label on it, sell it through another Amazon seller, and we're just like we're taking all of our bandwidth. So that's why brands to me are the most important. Like if you want to really protect your IP on products, invest in your brand.
So speaking of brands, you're now partnering with Nike. So that'd be that's your dream. I know that was your dream. Speak about that. Like, do you think you had that vision probably many years ago? And what was that journey of like, okay, now I'm actually creating products with Nike.
Yeah.
You fly up there, what, every 6 weeks?
Yeah. Ish.
Yeah. Ish.
When I was a kid, going back to like my Gen X generation influences. Like whenever I watch sports, because I grew up watching sports all the time, Nike commercials were like part of the experience. It was like you would just wait for them to come on. And they were so creative. They brought culture into the brand. Like, the Beatles Revolution song for the launch of the Air Max. Like there was this rich palette of and it was this ongoing story. It was like Michael Jordan and Bo Jackson and Ken Griffey Jr. And it was this whole, and it was just so cool to be a Nike athlete. And so as like a high school kid, it was like when I saw a Nike commercial, I didn't see, oh, I'm the JV point guard. I saw like, oh, that's like you saw who you're going to be. And so they were the most aspirational brand. When Jobs came back to Apple in 1997, you can look this speech up, and he's giving a talk to his team. He's in like shorts and like flip flops, and he says marketing is about values. And he's like, we're not going to talk about bits and bytes and he goes, Nike doesn't talk about why their air soles are better than another air sole. They celebrate athletes and athletic accomplishments, and they make you feel something. And he took a lot of inspiration from Nike. And when I grew up, since that was the dominant like sports brand, and I was an athlete, and Apple was a dominant technology company, it's like we are just, I take influences from what I grew up on, and Nike was just a brand I always wanted to work with. And when I used to go up there in the early 2010s, I would be like, like recovery is the next thing. Like this is what the athletes really want. And there we're just doing footwear and apparel. And everyone up there said, we're such a big company. You're going to have to like totally build this category before we come around, because it takes way too many people to take any, we're reactive. Big companies don't, we get to that point of like, they're going to wait to see someone else. And so finally, when I brought the idea for the Hyperboot to Nike, we had enough kind of like clout that we had created this category, and there was all this talk about Nike needing to like, come out with something innovative. And so, yeah, it was like, you know, if you think it'll come someday, it was, but and I think it really hit me like when I was in New York, we were doing the media launch for the product, and I was sitting with Toby Hatfield, who has been at Nike since 1990, invented Nike Free and a bunch of other products. Tinker Hatfield is his brother's most iconic shoe designer ever. Um, and it was just like, hey, like something started out as just like an idea and a conversation, and we made it work. And now we have 3 more products in the next 3 years coming out, and which will culminate in LA 28. So I think it just basically kind of gave our brand a lot of legitimacy in the eyes of people that really didn't know who we were.
Well, I think the message there is dream big,
Yeah.
and who knows where you'll end up. So I think that's a great message for all the entrepreneurs here and around the world. And I think we will close. Maybe if anybody has any questions, maybe want to come up and ask Anthony any questions that maybe I missed.
I mean, every time I speak, I always do Q&A. I always feel like I get better questions from the audience than I do
I'm not that good. Apparently, so.
Yeah. So if there's anything I didn't cover, if there's any questions about anything today.
Question is, what's inspiring him today?
Oh, it's sort of sad.
Speak from the heart.
I think we're living in a dead zone of culture, that I have kids and they're not growing up in a culture that promotes creativity, promotes new ideas, promotes good art and taste. We're in a race to the bottom of just absolute garbage. Like I talked about my first 5 movies I saw. I can hand my kid an Apple TV remote, and when their friends are over, they could watch anything that's ever been created on all this, because you have every streaming platform, whatever. They'll go on YouTube and watch, kids throwing jelly beans down the stairs or whatever garbage they watch. And I'm like, why would you volunteer? Like, why is your brain going to this? I coach their sports teams. They don't have attention spans. And it's like where we had to sit and watch 2-hour movies, and that was totally, totally fine. I think that the culture's lost its value in art and taste, and it's gone to just whatever is commercially successful, whatever's going to make money, whatever. And to make money,
And
So-
and fast money too.
And the social currency now is like followers.
Yeah.
And likes and like whatever's just gonna in the attention economy. And I hate it. I think it's so bad for humanity. I think that like, the bands that grew up as kids listening to Led Zeppelin ended up starting Nirvana, and then people, and then there was my generation that it was like in creativity. We like pass on things from one generation to the next. That's how art has always been. That's how humanity functions. Is as Picasso said, good artists borrow, great artists steal. There's no shame in that. We're in this like kind of creative culture in the zeitgeist where we pass things down. And then when people said, well, the business of reality television is better than real television, so there's no Seinfeld anymore. I grew up like in the golden age of television and movies. Well, why would we pay a writer? Why would we pay SAG actors? Why would let's just hose it down. We'll have some people doing some stupid stuff and put it into a reality show and make a spectacle. Let's everything's in 15-second bite size. I go to my marketing team. Hey, we have an idea for a campaign. Oh, can you do it in 15 seconds? So my inspiration is that I want to fight the good fight and bring culture into the brand and try to fight for art and creativity and taste and bring new ideas into the world. And that I hope that we hit rock bottom. If we haven't hit it yet, I don't know when we're going to hit it.
And I think that's the scary part of AI, right? Because AI is just taking what is currently ever existed that's out there and, taking a little bit from everything and saying it's new, but in reality, it's just taking little bits and pieces.
I hope everyone doesn't leave going, geez, that guy's a real downer. I don't want to be that, but you set me up. So I just think that like what inspires like
lean into culture.
Yeah, like that to like that creativity and culture might be on life support, but I'm here to fight the good fight.
Any more questions? What does a typical day look like to him in his business?
Yeah. So get up in the morning, get into the office. We're a company. We're 3 days a week in the office. It's the new world now. It's the Monday through Friday. It's a Tuesday through Thursday.
He's a night owl, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a night owl. So he's not those early risers, but he will stay up until 2, 3 in the morning easily.
People that are creative don't sleep. And so I get in. Usually in the morning, I meet with my design team on kind of like what's going out on the design team. In the afternoon, so I kind of like have it like design and brand meetings in the morning, kind of corporate strategy meetings kind of middle of the day, because that's when legal counsel and CEO, we all kind of meet on kind of corporate strategy. And then afternoon is mostly for product meetings, where it's like I have engineers in San Diego, some in Boston, and we all kind of give updates on, okay, these are the products, this is the timeline. We have a lot of kind of balls in the air because we have 3 Nike collabs coming and we have our own products that are coming out. So kind of like those are the sort of the 3, and a lot of times it's just that's an office day. I try not to travel as much anymore. When I do travel, I go to Nike and do our workshops and stuff. But and then like I have to leave space for like just like kind of phone calls. I don't have social media, so in order for me to maintain relationships, I need to leave time for like just basic phone calls and everything. And then to be honest, I kind of just there's like parts of my day where I'm like, I'm just going to call my friend that works at the 49ers and talk football for an hour because I want to. Like I feel like keeping in touch with like sports culture and things like that is important. So I'm not just like doing work. So I try to like not just kind of like stack meetings. I try to like leave these chunks in the day for I have athletes that are playing, that I'm friends with that are playing sports in different countries or whatever, like talking to them about their experience. And I just try to stay in touch. And so he talked about your network. It's just relationships. It's just like you got to give them sunlight and water. So and it's not just like following them on Instagram. It's calling and talking and so I still leave time in the day for just conversation. I think conversation is one of the most powerful tools we have as people. As people. Yeah.
He's usually calling me at about midnight. Yeah. Advice to young entrepreneurs is the question.
Well, so you're living in the most like I'd say this is kind of like 1998, like of the internet, right? Where like, okay, so AI is here. It's going to transform every industry. All the smartest people I know say it's going to be more transformative than the internet, which is pretty hard to imagine. And I will say that they're older now, but all the biggest entrepreneurs in every single technological revolution, they all do it in their 20s. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were like in their early 20s when they started Microsoft and Apple, and they went on to be the titans of the PC revolution and the computer revolution. Um, in the internet revolution, it was all like people in their 20s in their dorm rooms. Um, the best companies at every sort of turn in a big kind of technological revolution are started by people in their 20s because you're the newest to that, and it's not the people you would think that like, okay, whoever owns AI is going to be someone who's like 60 years old. It's not. It's going to be someone young. And so I think that excitement of that young people have a lot of power now because the field has been leveled. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. A great idea can rise to the top a lot faster. I think there's a lot of challenges you face, and that it's going to be such a really challenging time because there's so many variables that are getting introduced. But the optimism of like that you could be on the precipice of like the idea that changes the industry is pretty exciting.
Any more? What is he obsessed with?
um,
I think a human body.
I think like we talk about like the term in sports, we talk about cracking the code. You hear athletes use the term cheat code or cracking the code. Is that like, um, I think if you think about where ideas come from, I think a lot of ideas, like for me, comes from like the fear of getting older because I love sports and I love being active. And I watched my baby boomer parents like kind of like stop being active like when they're my age. And I was like, I don't want that to be, I don't want to just like live that way for the rest of my life. So I was always, the fear of getting older sunk in for me like when I was like 30. And so everything we do in with Hyperice is basically like is we're trying to figure out how to like slow the arc of like aging. And so if and like all these products we give are like inputs to the body to and if we figure out the sequencing and what technology and maybe there's something we're going to come out with next year that if I could be pain free, injury free, and my body could still move, why can't I still do the things I do now and like not age for 10 years? Like, is it possible that we, between nutrition and diet and our knowledge and all these, like that, someone, that is, 50 years old might look like a 30-year-old someday. And so, huh?
They're called
That's good. But to be able to still like, because if I wasn't able to like, we play basketball. If I wasn't able to play basketball anymore, it would be like something died. It'd be like a part of me is dead. And so, the obsession with kind of breaking the spell of aging is definitely something that like I think about all the time. And like, by the way, it's not just me. There's a whole culture. There's a whole culture around doing anything. Like anti-aging used to mean like you put cream on your face and you have less wrinkles, but now it's much more than that. It's about how you move, how you feel, and can you get up and still do the things you can do. If you can still do the things I'll take a couple wrinkles if I could still go and play and do all the things I love to do. So I think that being part of that kind of like getting up every day and thinking about how we crack that code is keeps me going. And then I think just to like just like I love just design, physical design, digital design. It comes through in like the brand, and it's something that like because that's something that I feel like as I get older, like your taste gets better and more refined. So if that's one thing you can get better at, because a lot of other things you don't get better at when you get older, if that's one thing I think you can. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've known Lindsay since like 2015. So we actually spoke at something like this in Aspen like 2 years ago. And when she decided to make her last comeback, I was like, "Are you serious? Like again? Like this people that just like love it. They just again when they stop, they feel something's like dead, and like they can't like live life without doing without skiing." But to answer your question, I think there's going to be a time where humans merge with technology. We already kind of have. And I think that that's only going to accelerate. I think technology will just be embedded in our body somehow. And I think there's going to be people that resist it initially. And then it's just going to be like the same people that resisted cell phones at first, like, oh, I don't want a cell phone. What? So someone can bother me? And it's like, and then like you just like had to have one. Um, so I think we're headed that way where technology will be more integrated into our biology. And I don't know, at least right now, that's not gonna that we're not part of that conversation now. Um, I don't think there's any like are you hitting is there like an ethical component to that question or because we yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what we do that's what we do every time. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, sadly. Yeah. 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 To be honest, I think that the culture has completely lost all sense of ethical guardrails in like every industry. So I don't really have any hope. Like, I mean, we just watched a whole generation of kids. We just handed them a supercomputer with the most highly addictive apps ever and said, oh, here, go raise yourself on this and just completely lose touch with humans and how we interact and how to have a relationship. And we're seeing that kind of like play out in like young adults now. No offense to anyone here, but that's we basically ran an uncontrolled experiment on a whole generation of kids with zero guardrails at all. So I don't see any like and by the way, and it doesn't seem to be any regret or anything. It's like we're just like doubling down. Now there's no oh crypto, what a great idea. Let's just have everyone just betting on meme coins and like like what could go wrong there and having celebrity backed fake money like so to say that like all of a sudden in this one area we're gonna like get smart and like I think it's gonna be I don't see any guardrails. I think that in every industry there's good actors and bad actors. Hopefully that industry is not as won't attract as many grifters and scammers though, because I think it's a lot harder. So like the worst part with crypto is just like there's just there's no barrier of entry. It's just like anyone who could fog up a knife could go create a meme coin. It's not going to be as easy to say, hey, we're going to inject something into your body and it's going to communicate with your brain. So I think that like the sophistication of that industry might act as a guardrail in a way. Um, I'm guessing, but that's what I would say. Is that like I think that's a lot. That industry attracts a lot smarter people and that tend to be more ethical. So I maybe have some optimism that like I think in break technology is going to introduce breakthroughs in healthcare and increase people's way and improve people's way of life. I think that'll be like a bright spot in the future. I worry about everything else.
All right. Well, thank you, Anthony, for being here. And thank you all for being here as well. We're going to move on to the competition.
Yeah, I think it's great. Thank you so much. Okay. So what I think we should do is take a couple of minutes to kind of get straightened out because I need to get the competitors straightened out, got to get the judges all straightened out. And then we'll have Nicholas come out and say something about EO. So take about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, go to the bathroom, get some drink, and we'll be right back at it. Okay. Okay, you guys ready? Take a break, ready? Everybody ready? Not everybody. Not everybody's ready. Okay, Marcus, you ready? Anthony, you're a judge, by the way. You're going to be over here, right here in the middle. Hold on a minute. Okay, so now we're going to start the GSEA portion of this event. I'm going to bring up Nicholas Sendrin. He's the president of EO Orange County, and let's have him say a few things.
Thank you guys for being here tonight. Anthony, great. I mean, I can tell that he speaks really with a real life experience, and I totally relate to many of the things you were saying today. Of course, in a much smaller scale, but same pains during COVID and after COVID. One of my takeaways from today's presentation is about don't rely, don't be dependent on somebody else on the success of your business. So thank you for that. So today more than a competition, is a celebration of a very special group of people that decide to, not just special, but they're like even a special kind of race of people who are willing to work hard and take a journey that sometimes just crazy people are willing to take, and is the journey of entrepreneurship. So, a big round of applause for these people. So, tonight, it's you are winners, regardless of how comes the result of the presentations. You're a group of people that are capable of creating something from nothing. Be able to go through lows and highs, and it's not only when you have the lows or maybe the failures. We will always have those failures or those tough moments. It's about how do you rebound and how you can step up again and take that to the next level. So it's a difficult journey, but it's a great journey. And all what I can share is, since you are in this journey, enjoy it. If you're not having fun with what you're doing, there's no reason to do it. So with that, I welcome you, and John.
Okay, so this is how it's going to go, right? So this is the GSEA competition, right? Global Student Entrepreneur Award for. So we'll have 5-minute presentation from the students, and then a 5-minute question and answer from the judges, where they will score 70% on the entrepreneur and 30% on the business, is how they're going to score that. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll call up. We did a little random selection, and we got London's going to be first. Okay, so we're going to set him up. And while we get London set up, I would ask all the other competitors to get into the conference room over there, and we'll call you up when your time is up. So London, let's get you straight away. Oh, it is. Here you go, man. Not bad. What just be
Okay, so let's start in the year 2022. I was just 16 years old. I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars trading crypto and stocks. And then the dreaded day happened. I visually remember after eating my mom's spaghetti, which was delicious. I'm legally obligated to say that. I walked up to my room. I opened my crypto wallet. I was ready to trade the markets, and I saw zeros. Not the good zeros, but literal zeros. I realized in this moment I've just been hacked for today's worth of millions of dollars worth of crypto. And that leads me to why I'm here today. So a little bit about myself. My name is London Leffler. I am now a 20-year-old entrepreneur, and I am a co-founder and chief marketing officer at Liro. Let's go through my entrepreneur journey. So it really all started when I was just 12 years old, where I got involved with crypto heavily, and that led me to create my first business, sneaker reselling. Even though I didn't make a substantial amount of money through that business, I did learn the art of negotiation, which helped me achieve my first milestone in making $50,000 in revenue through my eBay sports card business. Now, with some of that money, I used to self-fund my own crypto and stock trading portfolio, which I then crushed it that year, and I made hundreds of thousands of dollars from that. With every high comes a low, and that was certainly a low, getting hacked for that much money. But the positives I took from that was how important security really is. So I learned Solidity, the native programming language in crypto, and smart contract security. Now, I was making a lot of money at this age. It was great, but I wanted to learn a new skill. So I decided to learn marketing. I grew my online brand presence through my YouTube channel, London Nugs, which has close to 100,000 subscribers, where young entrepreneurs watch my videos for advice and insights. I then founded my marketing agency, LPL Digital LLC. After high school, I went full time into that. I helped grow brands like Shopify, TikTok business, and Snapchat business. I did a lot of their marketing. And through that, I generated the millions of dollars in revenue. But even throughout all the success, I just felt something was off. I felt like I wanted to do something bigger. I wanted to do something better. So I co-founded my startup company, Lero. Now, I'm one of the three co-founders at Lero. My dad, being a longtime entrepreneur and EO member, and a family friend, Joe, who's been a longtime CTO. We all own 30% of the company, and we all quit our successful careers for this. Now, the problem with the crypto space, there's a lack of transparency. Like you mentioned, Anthony, there's a lot of meme coins that are just thrown out there. You have no idea who's really behind it. But we are the team behind this. Now, we built 4 pillars at Lero to address these problems. So we're combining our own new revolutionary technology that I've had concepts on the past couple of years, and we built on that, and combining already successful existing technology that's already in the space, combining it into one protocol or software, into one token or coin. Here's a little sneak peek on the application and website. We've been working on it for the last couple of months. The official website comes out in our phase 2 of fundraising, which I'll talk about a little later. But right now, there's a single page website up at Lero.finance. Now, why the crypto space? Well, it's huge. I mean, there's over $150 billion in total value locked within the ecosystem that's floating around, and it's not stopping anytime soon. Now, one of my expertise, marketing. This is a simple but yet complex marketing system that I will be using that help generate my clients millions of dollars. Now, who's going to buy this token? Who's going to use this software, right? Well, here I listed our target audience. We have people looking for these types of things, and we have people that are actively using these features within the space. Now, what does it look like when it comes to a protocol or crypto company? Well, here's some numbers that I put on the board, and these are conservative numbers. We have lots of revenue streams at Lero, but these are the 3 key main revenue streams. As you can see there, the yearly company revenue. Now, as I mentioned, Lero is a startup company, so we don't have any official revenue. We are in the money raising phase, and we have 3 phases. First being our equity and tokens, second being our private token sale, and then third being our public token pre-sale. We are currently in phase 1. So our seed raise is $1 million for 5% of the company. And currently, we haven't started our official pitches. We start that within 1 to 2 weeks. But through just our limited informal ones, we've raised almost half of that so far. And yeah, that's Lero. So why are these numbers so big, you may ask? Why am I really doing this? Well, it's the combination of the crypto space and it being, I believe, the currency of the future, but also our innovative business model and how our team is coming together to be behind this type of crypto. That's Lero. Thank you all.
What about space that you are
Yes. Yeah. So as I mentioned, there's just a lack of transparency. I've been involved in crypto since I mean, since I've been the little gun, and I've been invested in hundreds of different projects myself. And the problem with the crypto space is this is not a hate on the developers, but they're really just thrown out there. It's a lot of anonymous code. We want to be the team behind this, that people, because as you know, if you can go on Coinbase or whatever, you put money in crypto, goes up and down, a lot of volatility. We want to have a team behind this. And I can't dive too deep into the technology yet, because we're a startup and whatnot, but the technology we built is pretty revolutionary. But not only that, it's the technology we're taking from these other crypto companies that have built successful technology, and we're incorporating it within ours. So it's like we have one whole ecosystem where somebody can go to, they can park their cryptocurrency in, and they can unpark with the transparency and knowing who's actually behind the team.
I mean, London, I still don't understand what the company does. I mean, could you explain more about crypto, about transparency and security, but what exactly you
Yeah, to sum it up, we're essentially like this software on the blockchain. So I'm not sure if you heard what a protocol is. Essentially, people can go into our protocol or software. They can park their money. Let's say Bitcoin. Let's say you can go into our protocol and park Bitcoin in our protocol. We have different features in our protocol. One that I like to point out that a company called Aave started about 4 years ago on the Solana blockchain. They created this system where essentially it's like an automatic market lending platform where somebody can go in, they can put up their Bitcoin as collateral, and a lender can lend them USD, right? And in doing so, they don't need to sell their assets, so they don't need to get taxed yet on the price appreciation, and they can get their money up front. And whenever they want to go back, they can unpark that. They pay the lender their interest, and they can get the Bitcoin themselves. So that's one of many different features we have within our protocol.
What, how will this build a better tomorrow, crypto in general, not just your company, not just within this space, but what do you see that about crypto and that whole industry that will make tomorrow better than today?
So as an investor, I would go to a lot of these protocols, use a lot of the features, so it would be great, some would not. I would have to hop around to other ones. Building this one system where a user, a crypto user, it doesn't even have to be a crypto user. It can be a retail trader. That's why we have the Liro token. It's all tied into a token, a crypto coin, on top of also using the protocol. Just from the protocol side, the software side, a user can go in and use all the functionality as intended. And since there's people behind it, myself included, you don't have to worry about code just being thrown up there. It's the Wild West, right? Code's thrown up there, you don't know where it's coming from. So just on that aspect of seeing there's a team behind it, and as my dad said, you always build a company with the plan to exit in the future. So build it as if you were going to exit. And that's our plan, to build this company, build this business model, and correlated with being transparent to the people that are actually using it, not just for a money grab.
So you say that, are you 100% invested in this? Are you going to school? I mean, what's the situation here? And if you're going to school, how are you managing the fact of working on the business and school?
Yeah, so I take accounting at Saddleback. So how I like to balance school and business is I like to do my priorities with school and business. So I'll get my priorities done during school, get whatever priorities I have with business. And then after that, I go out through my day. So yeah, I'll be balancing the both. Cool. Thank you all. Yeah, bye.
Okay, how was that? Pretty good. Thank you, London. Okay, up next. Oh, what's next? Yeah, oh, you guys take a couple seconds? Okay. We'll need some time to set up anyways. We'll give some time for the judges. Finish up a little bit.
I might need to switch up.
I get to start.
Go for it.
All right, so good evening, everyone. My name is Saki, and I'm a student pharmacist at UC Irvine. And I also work in the education space. I mentor with a program called CollegeWise, which is a national tutoring company. And I also guest lecture at SDSU. And today I'm here to talk to you guys about Cura Voice. And so one problem that healthcare students such as myself face is that we don't get a lot of low stakes practice environments to talk to patients. Really, our only exposure is when our professors pretend to be a patient, which you can imagine how that goes. It's a little awkward. We basically get thrown into the deep end with rotations when we're seeing actual patients. And this can lead to problems down the line for students that struggle with communication. I'm sure that we've all been to the doctor's office or to the pharmacy and had an experience where something just wasn't adequately explained to us. I grew up in a really rural town and this happened to me all the time. So I know what it feels like both on the provider end and on the patient end. And there's limited scalability of current models, as I mentioned before, and this leads to significant gaps in translations from clinical knowledge to actual patient communication. And so the solution that we crafted, my co-founder and I, who's sitting over there, is Cura Voice. And it's basically an AI-powered platform that helps healthcare students practice patient interactions anytime, anywhere, and get feedback on their performance. So they get told not just were they accurate clinically speaking, but were they also using the right tone, using the right voice? Do they acknowledge the patient's experience? And it's one of the first of its kind built for pharmacy students and scalable to all other healthcare providers as well. And so one would assume the market opportunity is pharmacist students like myself or medical students, optometry students, dental students, nursing students, but the opportunity is so much larger than that when we think about all the healthcare providers that have a patient-facing role. And that can span to up to 1.1 million healthcare students in the United States and 100K in SoCal alone, which is our current target. And our business model relies on institutional partnerships. So we actually have a active platform, active pilot with UCI in their pharmacy school. So we're launching in 2 classrooms right now in their winter quarter. Whoops. And we also have individual subscriptions that students can purchase as well. And as far as our competitive advantage, we're, like I said, one of the only platforms that is built for pharmacy students and the more niche healthcare tracks as well. We also have our own SLM, so all this data is in-house curated. We have our own voice data sets as well that we've used, so this is not something that you can just find anywhere. And this is our interface. That's our little mascot Echo there. And as far as our competitive analysis, we have the highest multidisciplinary support as well as the highest ease of access as well for our students. As far as our go-to market strategy, we just kind of wrapped up phase 1, which is awareness and brand building. So we did a lot of work on social media. I built up a whole social media platform on scratch for myself so I could better brand Cura Voice as well. I have an account that has like millions of views and it's all for healthcare students. And now we're at phase 2, which is lead generation and partnerships. So right now we're partnering with universities. We're getting beta testers from across the nation, really just there to validate our tool. And then our phase 3 goal is conversion and retention. So actually having paid clients. And as for our timeline, since the idea initially started, we've won several challenges. We had about 35K in general funding and sorry. We also developed our MVP. We launched with a bunch of beta testers, which I will go over in the next slide. And we have a C Corp established as well. Thank you. And so as you can see, we've made headlines quite a few times with our project idea. And we've had 120 beta users across 4 cycles of testing, and 100% of them felt that it would help them with their communication skills. We have multiple partnerships with schools across SoCal, as well as companies such as Sunstone and NVIDIA. And our team is made up of healthcare providers, tech people, software engineers, and we also have business leads as well. And right now we're currently seeking pre-seed funding, about 250K for infrastructure, hiring more freelancers, and marketing efforts. And that is all. Thank you for listening to the Voices of Cura Voice. Also, I would just like to say I'm not nervous. I've done this a million times. I'm just severely dehydrated right now, so my bad. I know, I'm going there right after.
So, I mean, what makes you, I mean, how difficult is to replicate this? What makes you unique? How can someone just go and use a different language model and do this like tomorrow?
Right. So good question. And it's a question we get a lot. And as I mentioned, we have a lot of in-house data sets that we use. So if we go on GPT right now and we ask GPT, hey, can you pretend to be a high blood pressure patient and that you want counseling on your blood pressure medication? GPT tends to hallucinate, right? And especially on the feedback portion, it might not actually tell you what's the correct medication to prescribe, or it might not really give you the best insight on what is considered good clinical communication. And so our data sets kind of help prevent that with being especially trained for that specific purpose.
Now, how do you create the real world situations? How are you presenting these to the users and going through that training process?
So in terms of how does the tool train the students?
Yeah, like what's that interface look like? Are you feeding up situations for them to answer type of thing, or vice versa?
Yeah, so basically there's 2 modes to the tool, which let me go back to the interface. One is sort of a training mode. So the tool will pretend to be the patient. So you can click and choose like, oh, I want to do a cardiovascular disease, simulation today. And then from there, what it does is it'll pretend to be a patient within that realm, or you can even type like, oh, I want to practice this medication. It'll run through that scenario, pretend it's a patient coming into the pharmacy. And then at the very end, it gives you feedback on, you did this super well, but here's some things that you could have done a little bit better. And then the second mode is, let's say, I don't know how to tell a patient, this is how you take birth control for the first time. I can ask the tool, how should I explain this to the patient, right? And it'll also tell me what the appropriate ways would be.
How do you audit the responses? I mean, how do you know that the actual feedback that you're getting is accurate and it's not some hallucination from the model?
Right. So right now we have a bunch of beta testers who are all pharmacy students. We also have faculty members at different pharmacy schools who are vetting out the tool. We have guidelines, clinical guidelines that we are expected to memorize. So for the most part, for the cases that we have inputted, I can personally vet that they are correct from what it generates. And the beta testers as well, that's what they're giving us feedback on is the tool making the right recommendation? Is it telling you the wrong thing? And we collect all this data and we sort of refine from there.
Have you thought about the potential for expanding this to actual real world cases where it might be listening to a real world interaction in a hospital or an office, et cetera?
Yeah, so actually right now there are plenty of scribe AIs that are kind of on the market, and that is an avenue that we've thought about. We felt that if we refine our tool using some of the data that we're using to refine it right now and kind of have other healthcare providers validate it, that would give us a better angle to approach like the AI scribe realm, because then we would have a tool that is clinically validated from there.
Okay. I mean, same question. I mean, how do you balance business and student life?
That's a great question. Honestly, I think that this particular business idea just goes so well with my background. I currently actively teach within the pharmacy realm. I also am in pharmacy school, and this business just kind of beautifully fits into that realm of like communication and healthcare for me. So I think for me, like I work on this basically anytime I'm not actively in class, and it doesn't feel like work because it's something that is kind of in the realm of things I already enjoy. So I would say that's my balance, is I also treat this kind of like my for fun thing as well, but I am pretty serious about it on that note.
Okay, that's pretty good so far, right? Take a second. Okay, you ready? Here comes Tom B. Ready for Tom B?
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanvi Sethi, and I'm the CEO and founder of Biomex, where we create innovative surgical solutions for better recovery, better treatment, and to save lives. But before all of this is where my story began. I am the daughter to two immigrant parents who came to the United States more than 25 years ago in pursuit of the American dream. My father, the backbone of our family, worked day and night tirelessly to put food on our table, and my mother, juggling multiple part-time jobs, still made sure she was home at the end of the day when we came back from school. But one day, they provided stability and security for us. But one day, everything changed. In early 2022, as I was just wrapping up high school, my dad went in for a simple stent placement procedure. The doctor said it was a routine procedure with minimal to no risk. But something changed during that surgery. The mesh that was placed inside him shifted, and due to that instability of the mesh, caused clogging around the heart and eventually led to multiple strokes. Because of that instability, he went into his health severely deteriorated. And a couple minutes later, my dad was pronounced dead. He died at 39 years old, all because of a simple mesh that shifted inside of his body. And this isn't my dad's story alone. Same is the case for more than 70,000 people every single year in the United States who die because of surgical and medical equipment failures. This is costing the US healthcare system $3.8 billion in preventable surgeries that could be solved. And that's why, and the real cost of all of this is the cost of our loved ones. And that's why I created Biomex. Our flagship product, the BioMesh X, is an innovative surgical mesh that is 500 times more accurate than leaders within the space, and it helps in 5 times better in more effective recovery. Biomesh X is a class 2 FDA tracked medical device, essentially innovating within the surgical suture space. How it works is once placed on the body, the underneath side of it has microscopic ridges that will latch onto the tissue, providing that directional stability friction to make sure the mesh is in place. Sorry. Mesh in place. Due to this, it has an enhanced surface area to promote tissue regeneration for effective safety and for better solutions as well. And the material that is biocompatible and hyperallergenic prevents bacterial growth. And this technology, we understand that these surgical responses aren't just because of instability of mesh. The Biomex platform technology is also already being licensed for other medical and surgical applications as well. But what makes us different? First is that we have an innovative global IP that's already granted within the United States and patent pending in different countries as well. Next, through our seed investment, which we raised around $1 million this year, we have industry participation from people like university hospitals, Ochsner Health, and strategic advisors and expertise in this space that have a direct pipeline into clinical trials and distribution within their medical space. And we already have a seed interest from other giants like 3M, and we're already licensing this technology to other medical manufacturers as well. And our business model is simple. We sell directly B2B. We started less than 7 months ago, and we already generated around $280,000 in revenue by licensing our material for R&D and other applications. Within the next 2 years, we have a $4.7 million pipeline for commercial partnerships and with hospitals, and we already have federal interest as well for our mesh. And this is a little bit about me. I'm Tanvi. I'm studying applied engineering, which is a mix between material science and supply chain. I'm also an internationally awarded inventor, and this invention has received the top 5 inventions by the USPTO for 2025. I also do literacy and advocate work to promote other first-generation students, such as myself, within STEM and social entrepreneurship. And I'm also fortunate to say that I'm supported by a team who has more than 130 years of experience within the medical space, has published more than 30 different articles and journals, and our advisors are from university hospitals, Ochsner Health, and MSU Research Foundation. And what does this mean to me? Why me? This has been extremely important as this started from a personal journey and a struggle. I have learned so much from building this startup, from FDA commercialization to product development and things that I had to gain from inside and outside the classroom, and lean on the people around me and seek these people out in their areas of expertise. Thank you so much.
So you're from Michigan State?
Yes, so I go to school in Michigan. My family's from both Irvine, California, and from Texas. We hop back and forth.
Got it. Okay. And you're currently still going to Michigan State?
Yes, I'm going to be graduating in the fall. I'm sorry, in the spring.
Okay. And is your goal to be an entrepreneur, or do you want to be a doctor, or?
My goal is to do this full time. As I was graduating high school, I felt a lot of like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? And when I had the opportunity to look back and see what the real reason was, and when I started Biomex and I was able to develop this technology independently, I finally realized that this is why I was put on this earth. This startup, this technology is my passion, and this is what I was meant to be doing. And I was able to gain other people, other investors who believed in that vision, but most importantly, believed in me as well. And it's something that I'm not doing just for myself. It's something I'm doing for my investors. It's something I'm doing for every person that supported me, that got me this far. But it's also something I'm doing for other young girls like me, for other families that struggled with this. It's something that I don't want this pain to, replicate in anyone else. If that is one person, if I could prevent one injury, one life, that's my life's goal.
How do you manage, this and your personal life? I'm assuming also losing your dad has been difficult in your family. How can you manage all this and still be able to move forward?
Yeah, I don't believe, like when you ask any entrepreneur, I don't think there's a true thing of like, how do you balance? There's no true work-life balance. And I think my personal life, I was able to integrate with Biomex because this is something so deeply personal to me. When I wake up every day and I go and work, it doesn't feel like I'm doing work. It feels like, hey, how can we make this better? How can we, to make this surgical procedure better? And this is like my personal life. This is me. And then how I manage it with school is everything I've learned in the classroom, I was able to apply here with supply chain, talking to international suppliers, getting like a physical product back to the United States from overseas. And there are some things that I wasn't able to learn in the classroom. I had no idea about FDA certifications, the whole process. And that's when I seeked out like individuals such as yourself who are expertise in your space. And I'm like, hey, please help me. Like, I want to learn from you. And I think that was the balance is I love this so much. And this is what I want to do for the rest of my life or as long as I could. And I think that true balance is this is personal for me as well. But this is also work. So I think balancing at school, this is what I was able to learn from the classroom. I was able to apply it somewhere. And I think that's what school is for. That everything you learn in a classroom, you're supposed to take to a job. I just took it a little bit earlier and took it into something I wanted to do.
I think one of the things that really comes out of your story is the difference between an idea and a passion. An idea, people have ideas all the time, and it's a lot of times ideas like, how could I make money? You had a passion of like, I don't want anyone to feel this again, and you turned that into business. And with the slide that you put up about getting your grants, and we deal with FDA all the time and getting all that. Like, I know how hard that is. The fact that you understand that at your age, I just want to say is really. I'm not trying to fanboy. I'll try to ask a question. So the real IP. So I'm gonna ask a question. The real IP seems to be in the build of the material. How protectable is it? Is it something that like, was it an existing material that you took, like, give me kind of like the formulation of how you got to this point with this now.
So the real IP is in extrusion and weaving process of the materials. So these like inventing a material in and of itself is $1 billion process.
Yeah.
I would not be able to do that as a college student. How this technology came to be was, it's actually a really funny story. It sounds kind of stupid, but when I wanted to create something better, having a background in material science, I went and got different materials literally in my dorm room, got like a textile machinery, which is like a 2x2 machine, put in the middle, and just started putting together these different materials, seeing how they interacted with each other, then put it under a microscope, and then seeing how they interact. How does it feel to the touch? How does it look? How do they interact? On a physical scale, it's not a chemical composition. And when I put together certain different materials in these specific ratios, I saw these tiny ridges, which is what like the mesh would latch onto, which helps in the stability of it. So it's the way that the material is woven and extruded and how defensible that IP is. We already have a granted US utility patent. We have 2 additional provisional patents kind of piggybacking off of each other. And we were in talks with 3M specifically because they do a lot of bandages and stuff. And this was something that they said that they were trying to develop and they didn't know how to. And they're like, hey, well, if you already have something, let's work on it together. And that's where that seed investment interest came from.
Well, last thing,
Yeah.
like it's her parents coming here, everyone will benefit from that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stand by. Everybody ready? 4th one, Tristan, come on up.
Hi, my name is Tristan Arnovic, and I'm the co-founder of Abroad Social. Let me paint you all a picture. You're an American student traveling abroad for the first time to Barcelona. You don't know the community, you don't know the culture, you don't even know the language. You want to know where to go and who to meet as a student. But the platforms out there just aren't really tailored to your needs as a student. You have Eventbrite, you have TikTok, Instagram, but nothing like that is, really tailored to you as a student. And that's the reason why we created Abroad Social. We're able to meet peers, you're able to find events, and it's a safe community because in order to sign up, you have to have an EDU email. So for the last couple of months, we've conducted hundreds of surveys with different college students in America, all of our peers, and they said the same thing. It's a very convoluted, very overwhelming experience when they're trying to use these apps to network and find events when they're going abroad. This is our current web app at abroadsocial.com. We're able to make a profile with your school, your name, find events on our interactive map. And why now? Well, students going abroad is rising at a rapid clip. It's projected to be 10 million by 2030, which feels like this is the perfect opportunity to do it. Not to mention COVID was a couple years ago. So obviously trying to encourage everyone to get out there and network. Some other statistics that we have, 7 million students are currently studying abroad every single year. Close to half of those students are in OECD countries. And we believe we can get close to 5% of that big number within the next couple of years. So how are we going to make money? Well, all of these businesses in these top abroad cities, whether that's Lisbon, Barcelona, London, actively trying to get reach of these study abroad students. They're only there for 3 months, so they want to promote their events. They want to be that main business that all these students go to. So we're going to sell subscriptions to cafes, nightclubs, museums to be on our interactive map and promote events. And for students, we want all students to have the same features when they go into the app, but we're going to sell subscriptions, which is almost like an earnings account. So when you go to events or when you get tickets, the more and more you go to, you get discounted codes, you get free tickets, because we don't want to take any features away from students, but if they constantly use the app, then they should be rewarded for that. And we also have a couple add-ons like creative national badges. We're inspired by passport badges. We think it's just a cool thing for your profile. Our development progress. We have an active web app at abroadsocial.com with over 1,000 users. We have 10 active businesses, and students have been telling us that they want an iOS app, which has led us to doing these competitions and conducting investor outreach. Our team is comprised of 4 co-founders, 3 co-founders and a CMO and co-founder. Jackson Galley, our head of design, is currently in Berlin studying abroad, and he's facilitating different network opportunities with clubs and student organizations. Connor Kapishki is our co-founder and technical founder. He built our entire web app and has 4 years of experience in engineering. Harry Raftis is a postgrad from Chapman University and has over 1 million followers on Instagram and TikTok, and he's currently in Miami facilitating some of our social media influencer campaigns. And myself, Tristan Arnovic, happy to be here today with all of you. I was the one who started the idea. I actually was on the founding team of Street Smart, which is a application that uses AI tools to help students break into high finance. And I actually led a lot of their campus activation throughout the West Coast, going to schools, facilitating ambassadors. And I realized how easy it is to start something and grow it across college campuses then, which led me to want to start Abroad Social. Also, finance team, Adventure Studio, they've been helping us. Fox Rothschild has helped us secure a C Corp under Broad Social Inc. And we now have the trademark for Broad Social thanks to them. So how are we going to start with all this? A two-sided marketplace, it's a lot of water to boil. Number one, we're going to start with students. We're going to establish a presence on campus with ambassadors, with guerrilla marketing, and partnering with the broad departments to be the safe option for students, also using social media. And for businesses, we don't want anyone to have a blank screen phenomenon. So we've already put student recommended nightclubs in the top abroad cities so that when students are using our profile right now, they're able to see stuff. So our ask, it's to join the EU community, the EO community. We believe, or we know that you guys have thousands of different partners all across the world. So we want to be part of that community, especially because we're targeting international travelers, students. By the way, we're also raising a $500,000 safe and already have an active angel investor on our cap table. Here are some of our growth projections. Won't spend too much time on that, but these are all based off comparables like Eventbrite, Bumble BFF, and what they have done in the first couple of years after launch. Air forecast, again, first year, not going to make much revenue, want to build trust and then retention and then execute off that. So overall, Abroad Social, the social network for students abroad. Why? Because it's EDU verified and it's the safe option for students. Our market reach, 7 million students studying abroad every year and rising. And we're going to target all US students as our GTM phase 1. And our ask is to join the EO community. And with that being said, thank you so much. And please feel free to get in contact with me on that email. And those are 2 QR codes, one to our web app and one to our demo video. Thank you so much.
So you studied abroad, correct?
I actually did not.
You did not. Okay.
No, but a lot of my peers did, and they were telling me about these problems.
Are you going to?
Yes, next spring.
Got it. Okay. What, at least do you and your colleagues, what do you see the impact of on an individual and a societal level of students that are able to study abroad, experience new culture, meet new people? What do you think that does for, like I said, them individually and the culture?
Yeah, so we really do care about, or we acknowledge the fact that when students studying abroad, they want to immerse themselves in the culture. And they don't necessarily want to be back home, right, with all of their American undergrads. However, students tend to go abroad by themselves, not with any other undergraduate peers. And that creates an isolation feeling, that creates an overwhelming feeling. And there's many studies on that as well. We're also in a new age where, students aren't as, out there as they used to be. Given some things that have happened in the last couple of years. So this is almost just like a helpful tool when you're studying abroad, that if you ever feel overwhelmed, if you ever feel isolated, you can lean back on this and know you have a little piece of home when you're studying abroad.
Are you able to find other students that are studying abroad in that same city?
Yeah.
Or from other universities?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the main point, right? All of these schools across America, they're going to the same study abroad locations. Whether you're at Washington, whether you're at Chapman, whether you're at Wisconsin, you're going to the same places, Lisbon, Barcelona, London. And to be able to connect with someone else and say, oh, this is a kid from Wisconsin, he's interested in basketball, would love to, spend some time with him. That was our main goal, is to connect students from other colleges, and it could be across the world eventually.
So the question is more about how do you compete with so many other applications where, students, kids can connect and they change applications, like almost underwear,
Yeah.
every 6 months is something new.
No, 100%.
And second is, this is pretty much like the telephone. If you're the only one who has a telephone, it's not much value to it. So how are you going to create that critical mass to have enough stores and students to actually the application have value?
Yeah, great question. Well, there's two things. Anthony Katz brought it up earlier, and it's that we have to monitor historic trends when we want to innovate and be creative. And right now, all the social network platforms that are out there, they don't do what they're intended to do. On Instagram, it's not me connecting with people, it's me doom scrolling, it's me having to face all these AI bots, and there's no sort of verification. There's no exclusive verified network for students studying abroad, and we aim to be the verified network that's promoted from students, parents, and departments.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, this is only going to be like for students has been verified, so you communicate with
Yes.
students.
EDU verified, you have to put in your university email to even make an account.
It'll be like when Facebook first started. I was at Chapman when that.
So essentially, this is like taking some elements of Yelp, essentially. So when you're a student studying abroad, it's a way for you to connect with other like-minded people, or also like businesses, restaurants, things to do. It's sort of like a kind of like a travel guide. And in the subscription, you're saying that the businesses would subscribe because they want to basically be on your platform.
Yeah.
And it's free for the user.
Yes, as right now, yes.
Okay.
And also just want to touch on that really quick. In addition to being able to see events, you can also see how many people are going to those events, and the fact that they're all students just makes it safer and just better now. Well, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it.
Okay, that's it. That's 4. We have one more. I'll give you some time to tabulate. No, it's you. You're connected to sir.
Just a big clicker. Okay.
Testing. The U.S. Department of Education saw a record 8.8 million students admitted into community colleges in 2021, all with this dream to transfer in 2 years or less. However, data shows that just a mere 10% of transfer intending students successfully transferred in 2 years or less. This isn't just a statistic. This is 7 million students who are getting stuck. Introducing Pipeline, where students can transfer anywhere easily. We are streamlining the transfer path for students and simplifying the oversight for faculty. Now, to start things off, I'm actually going to take you all the way back to 3 years ago today when I had my very first counseling appointment at Moore Park College. After a 20-minute wait and a 30-minute meeting spent interpreting fine print articulation agreements, I left knowing nothing more than when I entered. Frustrated and confused, I called my elder cousin Andrew, who had already transferred out, and I asked him to please review my schedule. He took one look and he said, Tyler, you don't need any of these classes. So yeah, my elder cousin saved me, right? But the reality is most students simply don't have this luxury. That leads to the real problem, okay? So resources and data are so fragmented that there's no efficient way for counselors and students to efficiently use them. There's no easy solution, but there really, really should be. 6 months ago, we sought to find out if this was really a problem by surveying 108 community college students, and the results were absolutely shocking. To start, 50% of students reported that they spent significant time making their own transfer schedule, to which 85% reported that they were not confident that their current transfer schedule would allow them to transfer on time. And finally, 75% had reported that they would be willing to pay for a solution to this problem with their own money. And that's why we built Pipeline. We decided to launch our concierge MVP, and in just 2 months since launch, we saw a grand total of 6 million views on social media, leading to 8,000 followers, 1,000 student signups, and the first 50 lifetime paying customers. These students are purchasing Pipeline because it replaces these confusing components with a clear and organized plan. Okay, so how does Pipeline actually work? All right, Pipeline offers software where community college students can simply input their current community college, their desired transfer time, and their dream transfer university. The tool then computes the precise path to transfer, generating an exact schedule of which classes the student needs to take each semester until they transfer. This allows for clear plans, no guesswork, and absolutely zero friction. And as for the counselors, I do want to reiterate, this is not to replace them. The goal is to enhance them tenfold. 30 minutes previously spent interpreting fine print articulation agreements turns into just 5 minutes of student intake, followed by 10 minutes of genuine, personal, academic guidance. And you might be wondering, what makes Pipeline different from services like assist.org, which you may have heard of? Well, you see, Pipeline actually aims to cross-validate trusted sources, including assist.org, and then use a large language model to output tangible results, tangible classes that clearly define what a student needs to do each semester until they reach that dream university. Now, enough with the technical jargon, because real quick, students love Pipeline. Okay, these are just 2 testimonials from students ranging from Santa Monica College all the way up north to Antelope Valley College. And in their own words, this was useful and they would recommend it to their peers. Pipeline is making a real impact. Okay, our 50 purchasing customers, they bought this to invest in their own future. These are real students with real results leading to a real community impact. My name is Tyler Maher, and this is Pipeline. Thank you.
So how much are paying right now, and what is your vision on how you're going to monetize this app?
So right, you said how much are they paying?
Yeah, how much right now?
Yeah.
The 50.
So right now they're paying $40 for lifetime access. So that's just however many semesters is needed until transfer.
So it's $40 for like 2 years. That's what it's more or less.
2 years. We have some customers who are in high school
We have some customers who are only
No,
have
no,
one
so
semester.
the question is, I mean, you say they pay $40
It's a one-time purchase, yeah,
until purchase.
and they get access until they transfer. Yeah. Further plans include monetizing to B2B. We are currently trying to break into institutions by leveraging the student success, as well as institutional connections. And we're kind of trying to scale the B2C success so that we can say, hey, we see growth with this. We see student feedback, such as the 2 testimonials you saw. Let's do a pilot at your school.
So how do you monitor each university's data requirements each year, the schedules from hundreds of community colleges, et cetera? What's that process like? How did you get that database?
So that's a good question. So we don't have the exact databases of the community colleges yet. That's what we are trying to achieve. That's the one, we call it kind of divot in this right now. So right now we are able to get all the other information, right? All articulation agreements, they're public. All college catalogs, they're public. The one thing right now is, let's say we give a student English 102 to take, reading and composition. At that specific college, it might be English 154. Reading and composition. So the same classes, just different course codes. That's what partnering with community colleges would give us. It would give us that 100% instead of that 99% accuracy.
And you, as somebody that was started at a community college, and
Yeah.
you transfer, where did you transfer to?
Yeah, so I started at Moore Park College. I transferred to UC Irvine. I'm a senior there right now.
Got it. Okay. And what do you see in your journey that can help other people? Like, what is it about the process of going to community college first? Because I didn't. I went to Chapman straight out of high school. So talk a little bit about that experience and how you think this can help those type of people and make that broader impact and give them maybe that end result they want.
Right. So I've got a lot of opinions on it. I'll try to keep it short, but I think community college is great. Beyond that, I think that it does fail some students. I went there with about 6 of my friends, half of which never made it out. They either didn't transfer, and then people really underestimate the importance of transferring that 3rd year, because it's kind of your last chance to go to university and not be, socially castrated per se. And a lot of my friends, they didn't make it just because the requirements weren't clear, right? Like it seems like something that should be very easy, because if you're going to community college, you shouldn't have to worry about what you're taking. You should have to worry about passing the classes and actually focusing on your career and your career outlook, not the logistics of how to navigate to the school you want to go to, if that makes sense. So I think community college is extremely smart. I do think that it can be improved a lot. And I think that institutions are heavily resistant to change in that aspect. And that's what I aim to change with this.
Do you think you could eventually charge more, considering how much money people can save by going to a community college for the first 2 years instead of directly to a university?
Yeah, you're saying for students?
Yeah, for students. I mean,
I could 100%.
tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, when I launched that, I was actually charging $100, and I did my first sale was for the $100, but I'm more looking for paying intent. The students, I'm not here to like gouge their pockets. I mean, they're paying. They're not very rich. I'm looking for paying intent. I'm looking for growth so I can catapult into the institutions. That's the end goal, essentially.
So it sounds like you have also some kind of a AI engine on the background, not yet.
You said
AI.
Yeah, so it uses a large language model. So the only reason this wasn't implemented, say 5 years ago, is because AI didn't exist, right? The large language model allows for this data to essentially replace most of the job that the counselors were doing manually and allow them to focus on what I would have really wanted, which is like, career guidance, academic guidance, telling me which professors are cool, networking, stuff like that, rather than sifting through the footnotes of the articulation agreements, deciding after 30 minutes that I had to take Calc 2, right? Thank you, guys.
Okay. So now the hard part. We let the judges take some time. How much time do you guys think you're going to need? Do you need to go a few minutes? Okay, so here's what I'm going to say about this GSEA, this journey as it relates to like helping or, finding these students to decide to present here. It's been an amazing journey. These students have done so much. You think about coming up with a business plan, coming up with a business, continuing to stay in school, and then deciding to present this in front of some strangers, right? So I'm honored to be a part of this. I think it's an inspirational journey to see what you guys have done, and I'm thrilled to be a part of this. Now, not everybody's going to win, right? So we've got some prize. We're going to give the winner $500. We're going to give the second place $250, and then everybody else is going to get $50, gas money, something to thank you for coming, right? Okay, but the winner will go on to compete against some very big businesses in the Dominican Republic. It's going to be a great journey for the winner. So we are looking forward to one of these guys going. So I know we're not going to please everybody. Someone's going to go away disappointed. That's going to be the hard part. So I'm glad I'm not the judge. So, all I got to say, I'm waiting for the judges.